Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm gonna be showing you how I do these nails, and also I wanted to start a little series called Read It and Nailed It. Basically, this is where I do my nails while I read you guys some Reddit stories. They can be scary, they can be funny, or things like that. So let's get started. Okay, so the first story is titled It Wasn't a Little Girl. It starts off by saying, I was camping with my husband and his family at a small remote lake in New Mexico. There were about 10 people in our group and another group of 6 people in the next campsite. It was nighttime and both groups were doing typical activities, making s'mores, having a few drinks, and telling stories, when we all heard what sounded like a little girl yelling out for help. Neither group had children with them, but we were all positive we were hearing a little girl and decided to search the area we heard the noises from together. There was a field behind our campsite, and we all saw a very tall, pure white figure standing maybe 100 feet away from us in the field, making the noises. We all agreed this thing looked maybe about 6 feet tall, skinny, and white as can be. We made our way closer to investigate, but whatever it was that we saw started backing off as we got closer, and it disappeared into the trees. All night we continued to hear a little girl calling for help as we tried to sleep. The end. Okay, that gave me so much chills. Okay, I have two things that I was like, what? So the first thing is like, if I would have seen the white figure, I would have like called the cops or something. I wouldn't have just stayed there. Second thing, I don't know why they decided to still sleep overnight when they knew there was something in the woods or something. Like, that's so creepy, especially if it was like a tall white figure that sounded like a little girl. Like, I would have been gone. Comment below if you guys would have stayed and slept over. You guys would have been gone just like me. And now let's move on to the next story. The title for this story is The Unrest Stop. It starts off by saying, I was driving across country with my mom and sister when I was 16 and my sister was 20. It was late, but we were well rested and still and alert. We were driving along an interstate and needed gas and a bathroom break, so we stopped at the only rest stop in 200 miles. There was a van full of teenagers on a road trip at the gas station, as well as a small gray car parked at the pump in front of us with 2 young men standing still outside of it. When we got there, everything felt wrong. We'd been on the road for days and seen many rest stops at night and had never been afraid until then. My mom and sister went inside and I stayed in the car. I heard the teenagers say they were creeped out and couldn't get the pump to work, and they left in a hurry. I was watching the car in front of us, and the 2 men had not moved at all, not an inch. They weren't talking. They weren't on phones. They were just standing there, still as a stone. My sister and mom came running back out the car, and when they got in, the 2 men slowly turned to look at us while not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies. And I swear to effing shiz, we all saw the same thing. They had eyes dark as pitch and empty. True empty, not black, not reflecting any light at all, just a void. We sped out of there and didn't stop until we were in the next city. The worst thing about the entire experience, we couldn't find the place on any map. We knew exactly which spot on the interstate to look, and we couldn't find it on Google Maps or any paper maps we had. We even asked locals about the creepy gas station out on that stretch of the road and got only confused looks. We've traveled on that interstate since, and there is still no rest stop. The end. Okay, this one was pretty creepy. Next time I go to a gas station or I don't know, like intersect side of the road or something, I will for sure be thinking about this story, especially because like they were not the only ones there. Like they also saw that the teenagers were creeped out, and it's not like it was just one person that experienced this, but it was the mom and the 2 sisters, so that was pretty creepy. And now let's move on to the next story. The title for this story is It Was Good to See an Old Friend. Starts off by saying, when I was 37, I went to my high school reunion. I flew into the nearest airport and rented a car. The distance was about 35 miles through a very rural and almost abandoned part of the country. About 3 miles outside of town, I see someone on the side of the road flagging me down. It turned out that it was one of the guys I had attended school with. Jim. This is not his real name. So, Jim gets into the car and we start talking. I had not seen him in 20 years, but he'd still look the same, maybe a little bit older. We get to town and I ask him if he wants to come to the VFW and have a drink. He says, "No, just take me home." Jim's parents had lived only a few blocks from my grandmother's house, and I turned into the direction, but he said to take him to the outskirts of town. There was a mobile home parked out there, and I figured that is where he lived. When we reached the end of the turnoff, he said, "Just drop me off here. It was good to see you again." And he walks off into the night. I go to the VFW, met some of my old classmates, and we start to talk. As we are talking about who is coming to the reunion, I mentioned that I had picked up Jim up 3 miles east of town and had dropped him off. Everyone gets quiet. Even the guy singing karaoke stops and lays down the mic. My cousin goes white as a new shirt. "Barb, Jim died on that curve 8 years ago. Rolled his car. We were all at his funeral," I was told. I started to feel really dizzy and I went out the car to take some deep breaths. There on the seat is the local newspaper printed 8 years previous, containing Jim's obituary. I still have the paper. The end. Oh my god. If this ever had happened to me, I would be terrified for the rest of my life. This is so scary. Comment down below what you guys would do if this ever happened to you, or if you guys experienced anything similar to this, because I read quite a few stories of this happening to some people, and this is just very terrifying. Okay, let's move on to the next story. And the title of this story is Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned. It starts off by saying, after we moved into our home, we were told a woman had died there at the hands of her abusive husband. She hated men. My dad would wake up with scratches all over himself, and whenever my brothers were mean to my sister or I, he would have scratches on him as well. One day my brother hurt our sister. He hit her with something. When he woke up later that night, he had a horrible bloody nose. The day we moved out, my brother accidentally broke his twins' arms trying out a wrestling move. He swears that he would have died that night if it wasn't our last in the house. Whoa, okay. This is scary. I don't know what I would do if I lived in this house, to be honest. I think I would want to move right away, hearing that my dad woke up with scratches all over himself. And comment down below what you guys would do if you guys were in this situation, or comment down below if you guys ever lived in a haunted house where something happened in the house, somebody died or something. So make sure to comment that down below, because I do want to hear you guys' stories. So let's move on to the next story. This one is called Death Came for Him. It starts off by saying, I was standing in my parents' room talking to my very sick dad at the time. He was dying of stage 4 esophageal cancer. I got the feeling someone was behind me. I looked towards the doorway to the living room, and something was about 4'6" and fully black is peeking around the corner. With its hand on the doorframe, I ran towards it and it slipped back around the door. When I got outside the doorway, there was nothing. My dad was completely confused when I stepped back inside the room when I told him. People stayed at my house in my dad's final days claimed to have seen it. My mom saw the figure on multiple occasions in multiple places until he passed away. We haven't seen it since. The end. Okay, this one like creeped me out. Like I had to stop doing the voiceover because I thought I heard something in back of me. Um yeah, let's just move on to the next scary story. So the title for this one is called My Mother Attracted Evil. So it says, after my parents' divorce, when I was a teenager, I lived with my mother. I experienced lots of paranormal happenings several times when I was reading in my bed. The room would start to feel really icy. Next, it would feel as if something or somebody that hated me was staring at me. When I got that feeling, I would leave the room and come back an hour later. Sometimes during the day, I would see a shadow figure sneaking along my bedroom walls. Something in that flat was pretending to be my dog. I went into my room and I heard a deep growl from under my bed. My dog wasn't capable of making a noise that deep. It sounded like either a really big dog or a man doing his best dog impression. Other times, my dog would whimper and pace in the next room to mine, but wouldn't come when called, as if he was afraid of something in the hallway. When I moved with my father, the paranormal activity stopped. The end. Okay, I for sure would never go back to my mother's house or whatever. I would stay only with my dad, and I don't even think I would ever step foot in my mother's house again, because I'm like very like scared of paranormal things happening to me. And yeah, leave in the comments what you guys would do if this were ever to happen to you, like if your parents were divorced and if you stayed with your mom, paranormal things started happening to you, but when you went with your dad, like it would be normal. Okay, so this was the last story. I want you guys to comment down below if you guys enjoyed these stories, if you guys thought they're like not scary or not interesting. And also thank you guys so much for watching and supporting my channel. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video, and also turn your post notifications on so you guys can get notified every time that I post. Make sure to comment other things that you guys want me to talk about or to find stories about, and also comment down your scary stories. I really want to hear them, and I'll try to put them in my next video. And also, these are how the nails came out. I don't know if you guys like them. These are kawaii inspired nails that I did. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and bye.